This is Kibera. Kibera is located in West Nairobi and is one of the largest slum areas in the world, encompassing 2.5 square kilometers, and is estimated to be home to approximately 1 million people, often crammed into very tight spaces. However, the number of people living in Kibera cannot be accurately determined since it's an informal settlement in which people are not registered residents. After the First World War, the British colonial government rewarded Nubian soldiers who had fought for the British by allowing them to create a settlement for soldiers, and they called it Kibera, meaning jungle or forest. At this time, the British government allowed the settlement to exist and continue to grow, and with time, it became a settlement with mixed tribes more than only Nubians. It was after the independence of Kenya in 1963 that the settlement was determined illegal, but the slum have till this day continued to grow, both spatially and seeing to the amount of people moving in. It's in the outskirts of Kibera that the non-governmental organization Wale Wale Kenya is located. They work with development and is targeting youths and young people living in Kibera, and they do this by a wide range of projects and programs that take place in their youth center. One quite unique feature of the organization is that it's run by youths who live in Kibera and who themselves are subjects of its development. This part is crucial for understanding Wale Wale Kenya and can in short terms be described as seeing the importance of involving youths in the daily work, so that local knowledge and experiences of living in Kibera is represented in the different projects. I was aware of this before, and it was a big reason for why I came here in the first place. But soon after my arrival, I realized that I understood nothing but the theory behind the organization. On my first day in Nairobi, I walked through Kibera with some of the youths, and while talking and getting to know each other, they surprised me greatly. The youths talked about the future in a very similar way to how I reason about the future. They had big dreams and belief in themselves, while showing little signs of being victims of their surrounding circumstances. I remember very clearly how moved I felt about the way they approached me, showing nothing but being humble individuals, instantly positioning me as someone equal who, for the next coming months, would work side by side with the youths to achieve common goals within the organization. It then became clear to me how much international development and humanitarian organizations had influenced my view on people in poor areas around the world, viewing them as victims, solely. But to consider the youths of Kibera solely as victims is to greatly undermine their capabilities. This is not to ignore the fact that people living in Kibera are faced with many struggles, but they are a lot more than only victims. It's from these experiences that I came to think about this project, and I saw it important to dig deep into the work of the organization to investigate the impact of its view on development. I will do this mainly as an anthropologist, and hopefully it will contribute to people's understanding of development and how it should be conducted. A big inspiration for the project is Nancy Scheper-Hughes, who argued that anthropologists should use the deep knowledge of humanity to take action in real-life issues, since only noticing these issues in the academia without taking any action will allow them to continue. While I do not want to affiliate myself with Scheper-Hughes' term militant anthropology, mostly due to the term's antagonistic approach, I do see my anthropological contribution to the development debate a necessary asset, having been closely involved with Wale Wale Kenya's work for a longer period of time, while also taking in consideration mostly others' voices. Considering Wale Wale Kenya's view on development, where the subject of the development is the leading force in the process, how well does this translate into reality, and are there any aspects or tension within the organization that counterwork its development view? To answer this question better, a proper introduction to Wale Wale Kenya as an organization is necessary.
Wale Wale Kenya is an NGO which is youth-led, and it was formed in 2015. They work with so many activities ranging from dance, music, film, art. We have a school fees program. We have football, photography. We do like all sorts of things.
They have different departments, and basically by doing that they want to give children or young people in general meaningful spare time, and that they kind of like discover that there's other things than just school, and that they can be successful in other ways than just in school, and just, I guess, kind of not think about only school and household things.
Academic follow-up is a program the older youth support the younger children with homework support. Are also having like school fee program whereby Wale can provide with school fees.
To sponsor school, like help the ones that are in high school at least to finish their high school by paying their school fees. We also support some colleges because normally when someone has finished high school, that's not the end of the education. Wale Kenya is a place for the youth to be and do something meaningful with their spare time and try to be the voice of the other youth in the Kibera area.
Wale Kenya, it's my second home, and everyone here, they are my brothers and sisters.
Every week, the members work together with international interns and volunteers to run the organization and expand its work with its projects and programs. But they also arrange several activities throughout the week for its members, like football on Saturdays and Sundays, as we see here, acting on Mondays and Tuesdays, and dance every Wednesday to Saturday. More than this, the organization offers homework support every weekday before the activities, and a selection of activities on Saturday mornings, including different types of arts and music. All the activities are run by each respective project leader, who is responsible to put together a project plan every year and make sure that the project plan is followed.
Living in Kibera, such an education you can't get from school. It's natural, I don't want to move out of that place. It's my home, I feel really close with my neighbors and I feel really loved around there. Although I know many people think that Kibera it's a very dangerous place, it's a very bad place, but no, I don't think so. But in every good thing, we have ups and downs. So positively living there, it's a very good thing. But again, at the same time, it's kind of difficult living there, knowing that anytime, anything can happen. We can have a fire. Anytime the government might come and start breaking the houses down.
Now a lot of things happening, crime, drugs, poverty, that, small houses, yeah, it's very tough.
I can say more downs than ups. So many things that are happening, ranging from sanitation, the security aspect of it, substance abuse of it. So, but when you are raised there like me, you know how to cope with stuff that's happening. People starve.
Kibera is a very bad area to be, I can say, but at the same time it's a nice place because it's friendly. But with hygiene and all the health stuff, it's very bad and poor.
It depends on how someone sees it. For me, it's a good experience to give you a good stepping stone to some life that you never imagined you'd have. The way you see it is how it comes.
Organization like Wale, it's really important. As a founder, for me to decided to come up with that idea, and the reason behind it was I would say it's a little bit because of my background myself. If this thing changed my life, I was like, how many other kids outside there that are going the same situation? How many other kids are or maybe worse situation than me, and like they don't even know what to do. They're like, because they don't even know what to do, how to go about it. They don't know any places like this. And it's important to have as many organizations as such that are dealing with having a space where youth can come and just be themselves and be able to speak their mind. In most cases, even at home, like because you're a kid, everyone just sees that you're a kid and you can't even say what you think. Like for example, in Kenya, like just dancing, as simple as a dance, you can't just put on the music in your parents' house and start dancing. Especially being a girl, you're like, what are you doing? Do you want to be a prostitute? And then you start thinking, okay, so what is prostitute? What do they do? Then you're like, no, why would my mom or my dad think that I'm such person?
In Kenya, the government doesn't focus on youth. So it's a good thing that Wale came in and try to help youths in Kibera.
Well, Wale Kenya doesn't look at a youth in a short-term perspective. We look at someone in a long-term perspective in a way that we help someone to help himself.
In Kibera, most of the population is below 18. There's not much to do in Kibera for young people, and they don't really have the opportunity to explore their interests, and I guess that's what Wale Wale wants to create for people, for young people. But on the other hand, it's also just a simple way of keeping them from taking the wrong path.
We have youths here that are on contract. Just imagining what they'll be doing if they weren't in contract. They could be like into bad companies, doing drugs, doing crime.
I'm feeling sick, I'm this way, and my mom can't be able to raise this money to take me to this hospital because they give this amount of cash so that they can treat me. I find that Wale Wale always chip into that.
Luke Strongman have claimed that development projects for the most part is carried out and planned by people who does not live in or have any ground perspective from the poorer areas in which development is conducted. In addition to this, Arturo Escobar argued that it's important to challenge the dominant view of development, in which the West is the main force in constructing how to view the world. By its quality of being a youth-led organization, it becomes clear that the work of Wale Wale Kenya is not only about helping people in Kibera to improve their life quality. By conducting development through the voices of the beneficiaries, Wale Wale Kenya are also actively a part of the process that changed development from being something defined by the West to involving more the people who the development targets.
We want to increase the number of our family members, of our brothers and sisters. We need to at least lift the slums. The small part that we will try to bring up with us, they will spread the word across Kibera. At the end of the day, we might not lift everybody, but we will lift almost everybody.
We want Wale Wale like to be a change, like in Kibera as well, like help so many youths in Kibera. Right now we are not reaching as many people as we want.
In the long run, it's about that these individuals, young individuals, become educated and informed individuals, that they're aware of their power as an individual in a democracy, so that in the end they will contribute to the democratization of Kenya. But that's like a very, very big picture.
Youth center is just a building, but to me it's much more important what it end up doing to the persons, because that's what matters. Because these persons are the one who will be bringing another generation and another generation and another generation. And so in that sense, it's more like, it would be nice to be able to, that we've been able to reach so many youth.
A youth-led organization. What does that mean? The answer to that lays deep in the field of development, which is a wide field that can be defined as an effort to help people in poor areas around the world to help improve their life quality, addressing issues such as failing economies, food and water shortages, or minimal social rights. However, how development should be conducted is a contested question and has no clear answer due to its complexity. Strongman has investigated the development debate, in which scholars and organizations within development on the one hand have argued for finding universal solutions to improve the all-over life quality on Earth, valuing action over complex planning that may be too complicated to implement in reality. On the other hand, other scholars have expressed critique according to a postcolonial view, arguing that development is too much conducted through a Western lens in a simplifying manner, not representable of the complex reality, and therefore stressing the need to include the development's beneficiaries in the process. Strongman raises an important point by showing that it's quite uncommon that development take time to do proper research by including the beneficiaries in the process, and thus sticking to a top-down approach. Escobar claims that the defining principle of the development discourse is based around the thought of modernity, viewing countries either as developed or underdeveloped, and that this hegemonic definition have not only been accepted as the dominant view in the West, but also outside the West in countries where people started to view themselves as underdeveloped. Escobar calls the idea of developed and undeveloped and homogenization, an extremely simplified way of seeing things that does not fully acknowledge human issues and how to mitigate them. Claude Lévi-Strauss points out that people commonly think through opposing pairs, such as developed or underdeveloped, in their effort to make sense of the world. While I do not agree with the universal assumptions of Lévi-Strauss, I do think that thinking through opposing pairs can be a helpful way to first approach a complex phenomenon like development. But then, one must deepen his or her knowledge about development in order to not simplify causes to poverty. To simply understand development through modernity is to greatly reduce the complexity of development work. It is to impose a power relation in which the developed West is viewed on as the helper, while the underdeveloped rest and majority of the world becomes the victim unable to help itself. While it might be true that countries and areas around the world that suffer from poverty have had issues to develop, the solution is not absolute Western authority of the development process, but rather to empower people to fight poverty and give them tools to improve their own lives.
My role has been, I would say basically has been just to mentor, and mentoring through doing it practically and like of course giving direction, kind of the mentorship of how to make things work. Like, okay, yeah, we can do this, but then we need to think about this. The people that are here, they are the one who knows what's happening. They are the one who knows what's happening day and night in that community. And in that sense, they are really, really important to be part and parcel of the development of the organization. So imagine someone coming from another country and coming and like, yeah, I think this is how we've been doing it, and I think it can work. Of course, it's really nice to come with views, nice to come with ideas or what you know, and then in that case match them and see what is possible within this and what is not possible. To me, I think it's more like how do you implement it in a way that so that it's meant into the community, whereby it has to follow the tradition and everything else for the community. Otherwise it's like, what are you guys doing? What is that?
It's a youth-based, youth-driven, youth-led, youth-owned organization, NGO, that tries to be different in dealing with development work and community. They want to empower young people, and basically that they drive the development that they want to strive for.
The organization is not only for the youth, it's by the youth.
Wale is run by youths coming from the slums, and we know the ups and downs that we are having. When we bring that to Wale and we have good ideas, we want to use the ups and downs that we have there to at least lift the slums.
Many organizations around are not led by the youths. Wale is a youth-led organization which is led by people who directly benefit from it. These people understand the challenges they're facing from the places they're living.
Someone else from outside, it will be so hard to run the organization until he is well known or is well familiar with the things that are running in the organization.
The youths themselves around Kibera who are running the organization know the problems around, know how the youths are suffering outside them. They know the problems which people are experiencing out there. I can't say the interns can come and just run this organization. That it can't be of much help. The intern is just coming here. He doesn't know anything about the youths around Kibera, around the slums. He doesn't know the problems which they're experiencing. He doesn't know anything at all about how hard it is for the people around the slums.
What is the biggest struggles for someone living in Kibera?
That's a really hard question for me as a Swede to answer.
Yeah.
Just as the development discourse are based around the idea of a country or a place being developed or underdeveloped, Wale Kenya clearly show that the organization have understood that developing Kibera cannot be made with simplicity, instead highly valuing the voice of people living in Kibera to better understand the slum's complexity. In order to project this opinion, they want people to see the positive things and hope that surrounds the youths of the organization and around in Kibera. They believe they are the key to change, rather than portraying them as victims, which is why the organization gives voice to the members and their opinions, to try to get their experiences to be represented and a part of the Kenyan society's development.
Just the thing to have a youth center, to have a place as a youth in Kibera where you can go, and I think just that way to even have a place, like that's important, to feel like someone is listening. Your voice is coming out and reach people some way.
They show like the kids dancing and like active doing stuff rather than like putting sad kids on a garbage belt on the front.
We hosted a festival and we invited people from outside. That way they got to learn about everything we do at Wale. If you go at it as a group, then by that I feel like already we are starting to make a change.
I think through performances that we have, and through those where we are able to like showcase and pass out the message. They're showing the UN about like sanitation. They had like this conference in UN and they were invited to go and perform. So they made like a skit and like dances about like sanitation.
So the dog without just afford was all about a child claiming for his or her right. And it was a show that we did different communities.
You know, throughout the activities that you're doing, I can say at least we are communicating with the community, and through this organization at least you can attract more attention. So I can say it's like a platform.
By this type of positive projecting of the youths of Kibera, the organization's work challenges the dominant development discourse's superiority by showing itself as a youth organization who themselves, the beneficiaries, are capable and the best choice for conducting development in Kibera. But as they point out, projecting these views has consequences and might even lead to danger, which shows just how strong the Western construction of the world has influenced Kenya.
If you express, like, if you have two strong opinions, I mean, people don't like that. Yeah, now it's like a bunch of young people, like, revolting kind of. It's very hard with taking a political stance here. Like, it's physically dangerous. There's still a big lynch culture.
The daily work of the organization entails running the different departments of dance, music, film, art, football, photography, the microloan program and the academic support program, as well as finance, marketing and administration. All of these is carried out by the project leaders, whom all live in Kibera, and international interns and volunteers. As we have seen, it is quite obvious that local knowledge is a big part of Wale Kenya's development work. But then, what is the role of the internationals that work within the organization? How do they fit into the organization's development view? John Briggs and Joanne Sharp writes that it's not only important to view if the beneficiaries are included, but also how they are included in the development work, since the voices of the beneficiaries are mostly taken in consideration in development only if they converge with the West view of development, and thus not actually challenging the dominant top-down approach within the field. Within Wale Kenya, it's the youths who are supposed to be the main force of the development, and it's all conducted in the area of which the development concerns. However, how does this look in reality? What is the positions for the internationals within the organization?
Having international volunteers coming here to work with us, that's an honor, because we have ideas to do this, but at the same time, we need someone with a different opinion to tell us what if we went at it this way. And also the interns that we have, they are based in different fields. They are learning different things, We try to take advantage of that to develop Wale.
They have really played a big role. We had a lot of interns, and right now some have left, but it was that very active when we used to be together. The things are going back to normal the way they were.
I don't think if they interfere with the work, instead they help. You find that the youths inside here are not that much educated. Without interns, it will be difficult because there are some things which some of us are not capable of doing.
Sometimes they end up doing the most rather than us, which it's partly a good thing and a bad thing, because we own the organization. We should know most things. It's same as with the grants thing. It's been the international interns getting the grants, applying for the grants, and sometimes you see that we are not able to do such stuff because they've been doing it. Maybe they are doing such thing, then maybe one or two members are with them, then they know how to do that particular thing.
It seems like many of the youths do not think that the international people in any way challenge the organization's development view, while the interns claim that the current structure of the organization makes it impossible for the international involvement not to take too much place within the organization's work, as we will see. In that case, it's even more important for the international interns and volunteers to be aware of their roles.
It's been a lot of Swedes, especially, but people from Europe that come to Valle. It feels like it's good in a way that people from outside come and can bring new ideas to the organization, which also can be a really negative thing if it's too much. If I am too involved in the decisions, to come with new ideas and to interfere too much with your way of thinking and with your cultural ideas in their work. It's more important to believe in their work. That could be a really big difference between Swedes and Kenyans, like how you work.
So you have the board, who is elected by the members, and then you have project leaders. They are in charge of running their respective departments. They have to also help with the daily stuff going on in the organization. If they want to apply for a grant within their department, they have to help with that. And then you have interns. They are basically like the administrative support, and if they need some kind of knowledge or help with anything. The more people came, the more there was like a divide between one room is the interns, one room is the Kenyan youth. While I was here alone for some weeks, we were really communicating and talking and discussing things together. And now it was more interns discussing things and Kenyans discussing things. But you have people that are not as sensitive as they should be to cultural differences, or they think they're adapting to this environment while they're just imposing certain behavior or ideas. I don't know. I feel like a lot of people who come here and who came here, they're not aware of, maybe they're aware of 5% what is happening here. And they go making assumptions, they go making claims about Wale Wale, while they have no clue, or they're not even saying the truth. There's so many things in the past that have happened, and we weren't here, so we don't know. Don't think that you know everything that's going on, and profile yourself as an expert on the topic. If you only have one or two interns, it's different because they don't really have a chance not to adapt. Lately, there has been a lot of people doing their studies here. It doesn't feel local anymore, it does, but in a different way. But by having so many people here, they're also, because they know, then they can just give things to us, and we will take care of it. And they're not really as involved as they would if it was just one intern.
When the interns are working, most of them don't like disturbing. They just want to take their time and do their work. When we sit on the other room, then we get to talk, ask someone something, and then have an idea. And when we have an idea, then we bring it up with the interns.
During the time that the fieldwork for this project was conducted, the organization had 7 interns and volunteers involved within the organization, whom all came from Europe. As will become clear, it seems like having a larger group of interns involved in the work creates a divide between local and international knowledge, leading to the internationals within the organization to influence the decision making. Here, I would like to use René León Rosales' example of who is entitled to interpret and talk in certain situations. Rosales' study from Sweden shows that the terms of cooperation between parents and teachers is dictated by the school, and thus giving the teachers the priority right to interpret the situation and what is needed for the pupils. While the school context is not valid here, it's very clear that the West mostly have had the precedence to interpret development throughout history. While entitlement of interpretation is commonly given to the West, that is not necessarily true for Wale Wale Kenya. The youths are supposed to run the organization, but the divide in between youths and internationals have led to the latter part's influence in decision making, usually leading to false assumptions and their challenging of letting the beneficiaries' voices be the main force in the organization's work. As shown through Strongman and Escobar, just as a Western perspective of development have dominated within the whole discourse, previous development efforts in Kibera have failed due to false assumptions. Kiyu writes about the Kenya slum upgrading program, an effort by the Kenyan government to upgrade the living situation for people in Kibera by building affordable apartment complexes with water, electricity and an overall sanitary housing situation. However, even though the project was to benefit people in Kibera, it was strongly opposed by its beneficiaries who left their apartments. Kiyu explains this failed development attempt due to that the project was based on false assumptions that failed to address the main factors reproducing poverty. To make more sense out of this, the term cultural relativism becomes handy. The term, originally introduced by the anthropologist Franz Boas in the 20th century, is described by Thomas Helen Eriksen as a response to evolutionary assumptions that some cultures are more advanced than others. What cultural relativism means is that no culture is better than another and is very complex in their own ways, which is why no culture should be understood according to the measurements of another culture. That is, even though people in Europe on a housing level are kept satisfied by having well-equipped apartments with functioning toilets, showers and heat systems, accepting an apartment that was built to help people in Kibera means that those who are supposed to move in give up their rights to express their voices and opinions, and thus only reinforces the lack of social rights for someone living in Kibera. Building apartment complexes as a start for developing Kibera obviously did not work. So why should anyone from the outside who does not live in Kibera have the right and first say in how to carry out development?
I would say the interns and volunteers that are coming down, I would say that it has been really positive for the past years. So what we normally try to tell, of course, the interns when they come is that don't come with the mind that I'm going to change Africa. Because maybe whatever you're thinking, whatever ideas that you have is not really working. Here. I know like there is one, they came with these menstruation cups that they were trying to distribute to the youth in Kibera. Those things, like you need to wash them. In Kibera, first of all, there is problem with water. Second of all, there is no toilet. There is no toilet in the house, like there is no privacy. So where will you be able to change that cup if you're a lady, a girl in your house, where in your home where your mom and dad is in the same room where you're staying? So of course it's a very, very brilliant idea, but maybe it can't work in this kind of area because of so many reasons.
Obviously, having a top-down approach does not work when it comes to conducting sustainable development. But being an organization that highly values local knowledge, to what extent is Walla Walla Kenya's outspoken development view translated into practice? As most people within Walla Walla Kenya state, collaboration between local knowledge, who give a representable view from the ground, and internationals, who have a good knowledge of development theory and how to attract attention, is something necessary for the organization's work. In fact, Strongman argues that cooperation is needed in almost all of the work of international development. However, as shown through the voices of Walla Walla Kenya, the current structure of the organization needs to change in order for this cooperation to allow local voices to be represented and avoid false assumptions. These tensions between the organization's view on how to conduct development work and its actual work is not at all to argue that the organization does a bad job. Quite the opposite. They represent the local voices of youths very well throughout their work, to learn more and more every day about how to improve their different projects, programs, to better understand the established economic and social system that they have been excluded from. While basing itself in youth's voices, the organization is also setting a good example towards the bigger development discourse, and thus contributes to the change of the whole development field.